Okay, now I'm going to show you how to iron. I'll show you the iron after I do the ironing because I've got this all laid out nice and neat, and it's taken me 10 minutes to try to figure out how to get this camera right. So I'm going to get my shirt here. And a man's shirt is the same as a woman's blouse. You want to start first at the collar or the yoke. This is called a yoke in below the collar. So I have my iron on steam. No, you probably can't see it. You may hear it. There you go. So I'm going to steam. Now, if you don't have a steam iron, that's okay. You can use a damp cloth, and maybe I'll show you how to do that too. When my kids were in cadets, they had to iron their uniform all the time, and it had to have a really sharp edge. So now I'm doing the button front part. I lay it. Now I'm ironing everything inside out first. I straighten out this edge that is always crooked, or it's always messed up after a wash, and I just iron it. Now I'm using my kitchen table, and it's wood. So I do have a really good thick covering on it, because if you don't cover your table, your wood table, you'll scorch it. So just keep that in mind. You can use the floor. My kids have used the floor, give them heck, but they use the floor. So now I'm just ironing the front up into the shoulder and down. Now I work on the arm. I get this arm, see, I straighten it. I come up to this seam here because I want my seam to go right down and make a nice edge on my shirt. So I hold it, and then with my iron, I go on underneath the armpit, across the cuff, and back up and down the nice sharp edge that I want. Right up into underneath my collar, which sometimes it's kind of hard to see because my grandson's in school, so I'm doing this myself. So there we go. I do the other side now, same thing. This time, because it's already done, I'm just kind of fixing in any kind of edges that I missed. Now I've got the collar done, and I've got the first sleeve done, and the front, the first front where my buttons are done. So now I'm going to open this up underneath my armpit, straighten it all up, nice and straight. That's the key. You have to keep everything straight. I then iron that. Straight up underneath the armpit, and then up to the collar. Back down again. And sometimes there's pleats made in your material for sewing, which I do have one. I have a pleat right here. If you could see it. So I just lay it flat the way it's been made, and then iron right over it. And that kind of forms the same pleat on the back or on the front once I've done it and I look back or look to the other side. So I've done it on this side of the back, and now I'm just going to move the whole thing up so I can do the other edge of the back under the other arm. I haven't touched the other arm, the other side, the front breast side, but I'm doing the back. And the same thing, keep it all flat and straight. You see the little seam there that was made to kind of give the material a nice form on the body. And again, I go right up to the collar and underneath the armpit. Now I'm on the last leg. This is where the buttonholes are. Again, I turn my material so as I'm working with the inside. Always I'm working with the inside. And now I flatten out this edge. This has an extra bit of material because it has, you know, the buttonholes and it has the form of the front. And then I just go in. Same as I did the last time, I'm just making everything nice and flat. Now, this is kind of awkward for me, so I'm going to turn it around this way so I can get into the underarm and the neck. You do however it pleases you. There's no right or wrong to ironing, just like there is to sewing. You do the best you can do with what you have. Now all I have is my shirt left, my sleeve left, and that was inside out. Don't iron your sleeve inside out, iron your sleeve on the outside. So you have that nice sharp edge from your collar, to your shoulder blade down the length of your sleeve. And if you can see, I'm always holding it to hold it steady. It takes time. You'll feel awkward to begin with. I've watched the kids just be all thumbs trying to figure this out. But once you got the idea, it's very simple. Do the other side. And if I want to look at it and touch things up, if things really don't here, there, or somewhere else, they don't look nice and sharp, I'll fix it. Everything looks pretty good. I am going to get a wet cloth and show you how to do that. All right, I have a wet cloth. This is an old towel I just tore up. It's, you know what toweling feels like, but you can also use an old tea towel or cotton or an old t-shirt. It doesn't matter what you use, as long as it absorbs water nicely and is thin enough that you're going to be able to use it and see what you're doing. So now, especially for the cadets, they have their pants have to be sharp edge. So I'm going to show you this. And now assuming I haven't ironed it yet, I put my wet edge right along where I want my sharp edge. And then I iron over top the wet. You're going to see all kinds of steam and it's going to be hot like crazy. It's not hurting anything. Then you take your wet thing off. Your material is wet. That's okay. Now you just use your iron to go over it again. And it dries up just about, well, if not instantly, pretty close to that. I'll go to the other side. Return on the other reverse it. Now with the cadet pants, I would also have them put the material, the cloth on this side. But this isn't necessary for this. It's not necessary at all, but other than to show you the technique. So then you've got a nice, sharp curve. See that nice sharp? It's like a knife. And so then you open it up, and there's your nice, sharp curve. And it does look very nice when you're walking with well-ironed clothes. Usually, they only look like that when they're new, if you don't iron. And a lot of clothes, a lot of material doesn't need to be ironed. But if you want to be impressing someone, or you want something to be done really nice and special, take the time, get yourself an iron. You can go to a secondhand store and buy a cheap iron for $5. So this is my iron I was going to show you. Simple. It has the steam gauges, how to change whether you want steam or without steam. This is where you pour the water in. This is where you press to give it a good shot of steam. And here's the water reservoir that you can see the water in. So it's a very simple iron. I've had it for years and years and years. But you don't need a good iron or a steam iron. No, you can just buy any type of iron. Any kind of used store will have probably more than likely a used iron sitting there waiting for you. So don't be afraid to go pick one up for next to nothing and have it standing by for when you do need a nice sharp edge on your clothes. So that's it for today. I think I've covered everything for the ironing that I wanted to do. And now I'm starting to catch up on the things I've been promising. My next step will be dehydrating. And I do promise, next step will be dehydrating. So take care and have a good day. Bye-bye.